Sup y'all, Winnie here, and welcome back to the SCP Foundation Wiki. Today we're going to be checking out a ghost train. It's in quotation marks, and when Benny was in quotation marks, that just meant it was the name of the thing. I don't know what quotation marks mean now. There's no telling what it means when it has quotation marks on it. Maybe it's just a soul train! But it's a ghost train, so technically it's also a soul train. I guess. Computer, why are you overheating? I'm just reading. And before that, all you did was watch 2 YouTube videos. It's not that serious. Anyway, 1489 is also Euclid! Just as a string of 5 straight Euclids. I guess there's not going to be nothing else safe for the rest of the 1400s, huh? Anyway, SCP-1489 is constrained within a 9-kilometer loop of refurbished standard gauge railway track in Containment Area 22, so it is actually a train, I guess. All rails and ties in this track have been taken from historic lines no longer in service, and must be replaced only with materials appropriated from railway segments last maintained prior to 1860. Stakes and other structural components of the track are not and need not be composed of historic materials. All historic components of 1489's containment loop have been coated with a film of polymer resin to resist weathering effects. Additional supply of similarly preserved historic materials is maintained on-site for repair purposes. Note that any historic component of the containment loop that suffers damage must be replaced rather than repaired. Repairing historic components renders them unsuitable for 1489's containment. The containment loop must be walked at least once daily to monitor for erosive damage so that preventative maintenance can be performed. 1489 itself must be kept within sight of at least 2 human observers at all times to prevent containment breaches from going unobserved. That doesn't sound Euclid to me, but in the event of a containment breach, the exit trajectory must be recorded and forwarded to Mobile Task Force Tau 2 train spotters so that redirection to the containment site can be performed. Description: SCP-1489 is an intangible railway train, so it is just straight up a ghost train. I hope y'all know how that happened, because there's really only one way to get ghosts, and trains don't work like that. 1489 consists of 18 railway cars trailing a steam locomotive, all of which travel constantly at a speed of approximately 40 kilometers per hour along the ground. While 1489 is both visible and audible to humans observing it directly, it is entirely invisible in all forms of indirect or recorded observation, including simple mirrors. 1489 has no apparent physical substance and will readily pass through any materials in its path with no effect. The only materials exempt to this property are railway components constructed and originally placed prior to an unknown date between 1860 and 1870. 1489 will interact with these as would a normal physical train, and can thus be contained with tracks composed of historic materials. This interaction is apparently one way, as it exerts no force upon such materials as it passes. When not traveling along a track, 1489 moves smoothly along the ground as if following a straight railway, and will travel in geodesic paths around the Earth, deviating only when it encounters historic stretches of track of a sufficient age which are approximately parallel to its path. It will resume this behavior upon reaching a break in such a track. 1489 generally follows land contours and slows somewhat when traveling uphill, but crosses substantial bodies of water at some elevation as if traversing an invisible causeway. It has been observed to travel directly through certain sharp inclines in terrain as if traveling through a tunnel. Because SCP-1489 appears entirely solid and real to direct human observation, it typically causes significant disturbances when traveling through an inhabited area. Due to the difficulty involved in locating all witnesses of 1489, the Foundation has previously practiced a disinformation campaign consisting of stories of ghost trains to discourage such witnesses from being considered credible. 1489's locomotive resembles a Minerva-class tank locomotive used by the London and South Western Railway in the mid-19th century, but lacks any distinguishing marks that would allow for further identification. Both the locomotive and the subsequent cars in 1489 appear appropriate for this time period, although they display only minor wear. It houses an appropriate complement of both passengers and cargo for its scale, and these share its properties of intangibility and invisibility to indirect observation. Attempts have been made to communicate with the passengers using vehicles synchronized to its movement. However, while passengers have been observed to break off conversation when observed in this fashion, they have so far proven unwilling to communicate with researchers. So it is straight up a ghost train full of ghost people, but since the ghost people won't talk to you, they don't know why there's just straight up a ghost train full of ghost people and ghost luggage. It's just straight up a ghost train. Why was it in quotation marks? If it's literally a ghost train, why is it in quotation marks, implying that it's not literally a ghost train? Why did you do that? It's interesting. I guess technically it's Euclid since you can contain it, but if the only way you can contain it is you have to have it on track from made between 1860 and 1870, and there has to always be two people looking at it, because if there's less than two people looking at it, it'll just leave. That sounds a little bit more than Euclid, a little bit less than Keter, because it's not hurting anybody. Either way, that's going to do it for this episode, because my headset is freaking out, and historically, when that happens, the video files just kind of die. So I'm going to move on with this before that happens. If you liked it, a like and subscribe will be groovy. If you didn't, don't. If you want to click the bell, you can do that as well to be notified of future uploads. And I'll see you in the next one. Hopefully this file didn't corrupt. Later.